Even that knock on the door can make a big difference in someone's life. Sometimes they can go for days without seeing somebody smile, so just to make that extra step for them is really so important.
Henry, would you ever hurry up and drink your tea or it'll be gone cold? I didn't give it to you to let it go cold. Drink it up.
I'm going to drink it now, I am, Nancy.
All right, good fella yourself.
Care Local is a charity which tries to bring friendship to older people living alone.
Loneliness can grip you into the heart and nearly kill you. When I feel lonely, I just put the coat on and the scarf or whatever, and I'm up around the block. Then I have a cup of tea and I sit here for the night. My name is Nancy Mullen. I was born and reared here, and I go to Donnybrook Parish, and I went to Donnybrook School, Belmont Avenue. Oh, it was great. Belmont School was great. We had a lovely teacher there at one time. Miss Oates was her name. If she caught you talking, she'd call you out and she'd say, stand there. And we'd stand there. And then she'd come back to us and she'd say, what are you standing there? But you told me to stand there, miss. Well, hold out your hand. You'd hold out your hand. What are you holding your hand out for? You told me to hold my hand out, miss. Well, I'll give you a slap. You'd hold out your hand for the slap. But she never gave you the slap. She said, go back to your place and be a good girl.
Hello, Nancy. My name is Bebhinn Hare. I'm a full-time volunteer with Care Local.
Bebhinn, you've befriended Nancy. What's Nancy like, and tell us about your relationship with her?
Well, I look forward to visiting her every time. She comes across as kind of prickly. She's a very strong, independent woman, but once you get to know her, she's an absolute delight. She really just takes delight in making you laugh and kind of trying to rub you up the wrong way sometimes. She's kind of cheeky that way, but she's got an absolutely lovely heart. She really likes people. She really likes being around people, which is why it's so difficult that she's so lonely, that she doesn't get that many visitors coming in to talk to her. She does try and get out and about as much as she possibly can, but with the cold snap, she wasn't able to leave her house for 2 weeks. So,
the best person I've ever met. It was great the way she talked to me and spoke to me. She made me interested. You know, she was such a person to speak to that she'd have you interested in whatever she was talking about.
Why do you do it? Why do you volunteer your time to knock in and become friends with an elderly, lonely person?
Loneliness is just the worst feeling in the world. It takes away everything from you. It takes away any good things that you've done in your life. You tend to not remember when you're lonely. You tend to just kind of be stuck in this thing. And I don't really like that people who've lived their whole lives, who've had the families, who've had the friends and everything, just find themselves at the end of these amazing lives that they've had, and suddenly they don't, maybe feel like they don't have anything to show for it.
Care Local tries to alleviate loneliness and isolation amongst the older community through regular home visits. I met volunteer John Sherwin and asked him why he got involved.
The older community was one that appealed to me, that I felt quite strongly about. The older people are generally very, very happy to have the visits, and very warm and very interesting conversation and quite a lot of fun. And as well, I think Care Local, in advance of making a match, they look to see what kind of similarities people have in their background. That helps the match to be a little bit better, you know.
My name is Sheila, Desmond, and I'm volunteer coordinator with Care Local and have been doing this type of work for the last 8 years. My job is to meet the volunteer, recruit the volunteer, and to meet the older person, to match the older person with the volunteer, to make sure it's a good match and that they get on. And it's the beauty of it is to watch the friendship then grow between the older person and the volunteer.
So Sheila, you put together Bebhinn and Nancy, and they're getting on very well.
Yeah, that's a really good match there. Nancy just idolises Bebhinn and lives for Bebhinn coming to visit her every week. And Bev is also enjoying the relationship, which is very important, that the volunteer would enjoy the relationship with the older person.
Hi, I'm Margaret. I started in Care Local in August. Care Local is a lifeline to many, many people, older people in the community who would have no visitors, who would never see anybody or not have contact with people from one end of the week to the other. Only their Care Local befriender. I've been going out to businesses to get products to put together for hampers for Christmas for older people who, with the budget, with everything that's going on this year and with the cold weather, they are in need, and just putting together hampers to make their Christmas time a little bit easier.
David Fitzgerald, chairman of Care Local, explains.
I'm very proud of the work that Care Local does because it's a very low-profile organisation. We do a lot of very good work in the background. We've about 150 volunteers just to chat and gossip and talk about life and this and that and the other. But the main purpose of this is companionship to the elderly who are living on their own, and just to keep an eye on them, make sure that everything's okay. Our volunteers do an absolutely super job. They really are the unsung heroes. If I can be bold enough to use this opportunity to say, we always need a few more bob to keep the show on the road, but believe me, it's a very, very worthwhile cause.
Bit of companionship more than anything else.
Michael, who's in hospital at the moment, told me what he thinks of Care Local.
I'm 84 years of age, and I've been in here now in St James's Hospital since August, but I've been well looked after by Care Local. Care Local came to me when I was in Canontroy Court with a Christmas hamper for everyone in the court. Been with them ever since, you know. All the fondest memories is being married to Kathleen. She was absolutely fabulous. You know, we were 53 years married, 55 years together when she died. That really broke me up, you know. I was in bits. And I'm only in here now because I fell in my apartment and went through a china cabinet. I've had a good life, you know. I've nothing to be sorry about, and I have a good family. They look after me very well. I was discharged from here, and when I went in to the apartment, it didn't feel right somehow or another, you know. It felt, there was something about it. Anyway, I ended up that night taking an overdose and was brought back in here, and I'm here ever since. It's a very fine line between thinking of something and doing it, you know.
Michael is the first person I started befriending with Care Local back in March. He's had a pretty amazing life, really. He was a seaman. He's travelled all over the world, and he has some nice stories to tell about that. It's really nice to hear. It's really nice to give him that chance to reminisce.
You're a young person. What age are you? Can I ask you that?
29.
Can you relate, and can the elderly people relate to you?
I think a friendship can be there. I do think so. I think that they enjoy kind of passing on their wisdom and what they've learned in their life, all right. Yeah, I think it does make a difference to have someone the same age, but I think that still strong friendships can be formed there, yeah.
It's a hell of a difference when somebody calls. At least you know there's somebody thinking of you. I mean, you're sitting here all the time, and the next thing a knock comes to the door and it's somebody, and they come in and we have a great chat and a cup of tea. While they're chatting there, I'm going out to make the cup of tea, and they have a cup of tea before they know where they are. Oh, it's great.
Our average volunteer stays with an older person with their match for sometimes as much as 5 years. Somewhere along those 5 years, it changes from a befriending volunteer to family. My name is Linda Desmond, and I'm CEO of Care Local, and I've been working with this organization for 2 years. Previously, I've come from Massachusetts, as you can tell by my accent, and I've been working with older people's groups for about 40 years. We are adding quality to a number of older people's lives, and that's very important, and that's basically why I've chosen this as my career path, to make a difference in older people's lives.
When we look at Prime Time Investigates this week and what happens with carers and untrained carers and force feeding, elderly people are vulnerable, and I know you go through a big vetting process and everyone is checked and double checked, treble checked. Elderly people are vulnerable, and some people take advantage, don't they?
They do. Because you follow a process of vetting and a very close reference checks, and then an interview process, and then an induction. Because of that process, you know, the people that really don't fit or don't feel right, they're not welcomed in our program.
I have 3 cats. I don't know where Snowy is. That's Misty. Now, she's a stray. I don't know where she came from. I went out one day to feed Susie in the yard, and she was sitting on the shed, and she's here ever since. I'm mistress of the manor, the Susie one. Oh yes, you don't intrude on her, but she's great. She's an old pet. But Susie sleeps with me at night. She comes up to the end of the bed and sleeps on the end of the bed. When I wake up, she's at my back in the heat. I've one thing in common with the Lord. I was born in a stable, but I was never put in the manger. Even though there was 2 of them here, I was never put in them.
So this is a stable converted?
It was a stable converted, yeah. You should have seen it years ago when we were kids growing up. It was absolutely deplorable. But we got on.
Nancy, what do you think of the people that come and visit you?
Oh, I love them. I love people coming because I like people. That's why I love them coming. I knock at the door now and I'm up like a light to see if it's somebody coming in to sit down for a little chat and we'll have a cup of tea. And for that again, it might be only somebody to come to give me a book or give me the papers.
How did you get through the cold spell?
Oh, sitting here, I'm lovely and warm. I have a bottle on my tummy and I have a bottle on my back and I have 2 heaters. Oh yes, it was hard to get up the lane. Oh yes, but my son Michael, he cleared a path up the lane that people could walk. Anybody that was coming down to me could walk down and I could walk up. Oh, it was great to get the path up the lane. But before that, I couldn't go out. I was afraid.
How do you keep your spirits up?
How do I keep my spirits? I happen to be that type of an individual. I just like being friends with people and talking to people. And that's it. And then when I'm not with people, I read. As you can see, look at the books. I'm a reader. How old am I? How old do you think? How old do I look?
Maybe 69.
I'll go out with that. I was, my birthday is the 22nd of November and I was 83.
Well, there's not a bother on you.
Not at all. Sure, why would there be? I'm a young one. You old fellas go away. Your granny. I'm everybody's granny.